Hello, in this video we're going to show you how to build this buffet. This buffet features Walker Edison's new easy assembly drawer system, which means the drawers go together tool-free and with less frustration. Before we get started, here's a few things to keep in mind. Estimated time for assembly is 60 minutes with 2 people and a bit longer with 1. Make sure you have a Phillips head screwdriver and just make sure all the pieces are facing the right way as you're putting it together and you'll do great. In this video we're going to focus on the trickier parts and go quickly through the easier steps, so just make sure you pause the video and complete all the steps as we go. With that said, let's get into it. In these steps, we're going to attach the rails to pieces 2 and 3. So we'll take our rails and we're going to separate this inside rail from the rest. So we'll extend this small rail, and inside there's a little lever that you'll push down, and then you can pull out the small rail, and we'll set those aside for later. And we're going to attach the bigger rails. So for this, when it extends like this, we want the extension to go away from these grooves on these pieces here. And for the first screw, we're going to put it into this hole here, and that'll go into the hole closest to this groove here, so that it's extending this way. And then once that's in the right hole, there should be 2 other holes that we can screw into. You may have to slide the rail around a little bit to see them, but they should be lined up. And then we'll do the same thing with this other piece. Again, making sure that it extends away from this groove here. Okay, once those are both attached, we can set these aside. And then we'll kind of do the same thing with piece 8 and attach rails to both sides of this. And the rails will go into this row of holes here. Unlike the other ones, when the rail extends, we want it to go away from this groove. And when we're attaching these, this edge is going to be flush with the rails here. There will be a little bit of a space here. Okay, we'll do the same thing on the other side of this piece. Okay, we're good to move on. In this step, we're going to attach piece 8 to piece 7. So for this, we'll stand up piece 7 like this, with the groove facing this way. And then we'll take piece 8 and stand it up like this, so that the groove is also along the bottom, so it'll line up with this one. And then the rails will be facing away from this piece, and we'll line it up with piece 7 here. So we'll take a dowel and put it into the center hole and put piece 8 onto that dowel, and then we'll put 2 bolts in through the bottom. Okay, next we're going to take pieces 11 and 12, and those will go here. So we're going to put cam bolts into these top 2 holes here, and then dowels into the other 2. And we'll put the 2 dowels in, and then piece 11 is going to go on this side, and piece 12 will go on this side. And when we attach these cam lock holes are going to be facing down towards this piece. So these should be flush right here. So we'll take a cam lock and lock that in place. Okay, next we're going to put cam bolts into pieces 2 and 3. And they'll go into these 2 holes here at the bottom, and then this hole up here. Then we'll put dowels into this piece, and 1 into this piece. And then we'll attach pieces 2 and 3 to both sides. So piece 3 is going to go on this side, and piece 2 will go on that side. So we'll start with piece 3, and we'll flip it around like this, so that these 2 cam bolts are on this side of the 2 holes, and this one for this one hole up here. And we'll line these up and insert the cam bolts. And press those together, and then we'll lock those in place with cam locks. Also in this step, we're going to screw on this leg to the bottom. Okay, we're good to move on. In this step, we're going to insert the back panels. So we'll unfold them, and then we'll put the tape side facing backwards, towards me in this case, and we'll slide them into these grooves on the back here. Same thing with this side. Okay, we're good to move on. In this step, we're going to start by putting cam bolts into piece 1, into the 6 holes. Okay, once the cam bolts are all in, we'll take 7 dowels and put them into the top holes on these pieces. They'll be in the 4 corners of the posts, and then also the middle hole on each of the panels. Then once all the dowels are in, we'll lift this piece up and flip it onto the top. And then just make sure that this groove here on this piece lines up with the back panels. Okay, once that's on top, we'll lock it in place with cam locks along the inside. Okay, we're good to move on. Next, we'll be putting together the drawers. These drawers feature Walker Edison's new easy assembly technology, which means they go together a lot faster and with less frustration. So I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to start by attaching these smaller rails from earlier onto pieces 15 and 16. And for these, the closed end or folded up end of the rail is going to be on the edge that has these little metal switches. So we'll attach those like this. And then the rail will also sit so that it kind of butts up against each side. So it'll be centered. So we'll line that up and find the holes and then put in the screws. Okay, once all the rails are on, we'll move on and start putting the drawers together. So we'll take one of our pieces 17 and we'll attach one of each piece 15 and 16 to the sides. So for this, we'll take these skinnier dowels and put them into the sides of 17. And then with these pieces, we just want to make sure that these grooves line up and that these little insert things here go into these plastic holes here. And then once they're inserted, we'll flip the latches and lock it into place. Next, we can stand it up like this and put in one of these small pieces. And we'll just have these latches facing down this way. And we'll latch that into place. And then we'll take one of our bottom panels and slide that into the grooves. And then we'll take 2 more dowels and put them into the ends here of pieces 15 and 16. Now we'll take our front piece and then we'll just make sure that this groove lines up with the bottom panel, and we'll flip that in place. And then we'll line up all the latches and lock those into place. Then also when we're latching those sides, just make sure to latch this one in the middle as well. Next, we'll take 2 of our handles. So we'll unscrew the screw and then insert the screw from the inside and then screw on the knob on the outside. Okay, our first drawer is done. Now we can do the same thing with the other one and then we can move on. Next, we're going to attach the hinges to the doors. So for this, we'll just insert the hinges so that this little cup piece is going to go into these holes here on the doors. And then we'll screw that in with 2 screws. And we'll do that for all the doors. Okay, once we have all the hinges on, we can also attach the handles and then just make sure that the handles go on the outside. Okay, we're good to move on. Next, we're going to attach the doors, and the order of the doors is piece 6, piece 22, piece 21, and 20. So we'll take this door and we're just going to line up the 4 holes on each hinge with the 4 holes here on the side. So I like to get one screw and put it in the first hole, and then line up my screwdriver with it, and then hold it up to the hole on the piece and then screw it in. And then I like to do another one down at the bottom just to hold it into place. And then we'll put in the rest of the screws, and then we can do the same thing with the other 3 doors. Okay, once all the doors are on, we can move on and put in the shelves. So we'll take our shelf pegs and put those into the holes inside, and then just make sure they're all on the same level. Then we'll take our shelves, and with these little indents facing downwards and the cutouts for the corners facing back, we can insert the shelves inside. And if you can't quite get it into place, you may have to just put the pegs in after the shelf is inside and then rest it on top. Okay, next we can move on and put in the drawers. So we'll take our drawer and line up the rails with the rails inside, and then we can press that all the way in. Okay, next we'll move on and put in the plastic wedges around the back panel just to hold everything in place, but after that we're done. We hope this video was helpful for you when assembling your new buffet. For more guides, tips, and tricks, go to walkeredison.com.